Welcome, Pewter Report readers and listeners, to the Pewter Report podcast. I am Mark Cook, along with my boss, Mr. Scott Reynolds.
Hello, hello.
John Ledyard is up in the top left corner.
Yes, sir, I am. Great to be here with you.
You're like the Greg Brady of this episode. You would be in the top left. And then down in the bottom is bottom right is Cindy Brady, the youngest of the Bradys, also known as Matt Matera, our producer on the show. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm great. This is pretty cool. We're going live. We're showing our faces. We got a new name for the podcast. This is awesome.
Is it awesome we're showing our faces?
I don't know. Yeah, that's not good. I've got to do the touch of men.
Depending on who you
get some gray in the beard. So.
Should ask everyone watching to do a power rankings of our faces.
That's true. Feel free to comment and power rank the faces.
Wow. Please no.
Wow. Yeah, I'm dead last. We know what that's going to happen there. Anyway.
You might be in a battle for that, Mark, with myself.
I don't know. Since you got the haircut,
yeah, I was going to say
pretty good.
Swings it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. I think me and Matt probably round out the bottom. Did you comb your hair today, Matt? Anyway, let's get started before I get yelled at by the bosses that be. Listen, we talked about it on Sunday after the game. This Tampa Bay football team is now 3-1, but they are a wounded bunch, fellas. A lot of injuries. We saw today, which is Tuesday, as we're taping this. Of course, if you're watching it live, you know that. But top 4 wide receivers are out. That's a scary proposition. Who's healthy on this football team? Who's going to be able to play on Sunday? What do they do with just 2 running backs as of right now?
Cam Brate's healthy. That's a fact. I mean, this is a guy who has hardly played any snaps at all. When you look at him coming in as the 3rd tight end, and he's actually played a lot less than I thought he would, because we saw him play a whole bunch during training camp. I mean, he was getting involved in the offense as a receiver. He was getting involved as a run blocker in the 3 tight end sets, and I thought we'd see a lot more of Cam Brate. When we were at the stadium, Mark, for that scrimmage, he was featured a lot, caught a touchdown pass from Brady down there in the red zone. So you asked who's going to be available for Thursday night. Cam Brate, going back to his old stomping grounds. He's a Chicago, Illinois native. So, you got him.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's going to be not all those 4 wide receivers are going to be out of this game. I think Mike Evans might not practice all week, but he's going to gut it out. I feel confident about that. I think
Scotty Miller's going to go.
Yeah, I think Scotty will go as well. How 100% they are, we'll see. I'm not sure. Justin Watson, we'll have to see what his status is moving closer. But yeah, I mean, I'm Tyler Johnson. Let's see him. Let's see what Tyler Johnson can bring to the table. To me, when I think about guys that have a great opportunity to step up on a short, he's the only guy that's 100%, so he's been out there now a couple games. He dropped a pass the first time, got negated by a penalty, but hasn't really picked up many targets or anything, so I think this is his time. I think we're going to see Tyler Johnson do some things, and hopefully they're good things, but I think he's going to get opportunities to do good things. And I think that it's a big stage for him, going to be a national stage for him, and I think he's going to make some splash plays. It was
Keyshawn Vaughn who got his first touchdown last week and really got pressed into service when LaShawn McCoy was injured with his sprained ankle. And then, of course, Leonard Fournette didn't play, so that moved him up to the depth chart. Gosh, right now he's the number 2 back, right behind Rojo. If Leonard Fournette can't go, that's going to be a game time decision, is what it sounds like. And then LaShawn McCoy. So they could be entering this game with 2 running backs. I asked Byron Leftwich today in the conference call who their emergency 3rd string running back is. If it was Jordan Whitehead, who actually played some running back and safety.
Right. Or Devin White too.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about that too. Couldn't it possibly be Cam Brate? I mean, I know they need him as the backup tight end as well, but last year the Bucs don't have a fullback, but when they do put a fullback in the backfield, it's usually Cam Brate that played that role. So in this emergency situation, which we hope we don't see, I could see it potentially being Cam Brate just getting a snap just to, I guess, make the defense read their keys. I
don't know.
On a play
I'd like to see Scotty Miller.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mark, do you remember back in 1997, the season opener, Bucs versus 49ers? The Bucs drive all the way down to the 1-yard line. Right. And instead of handing the ball to, this guy named Mike Allstott, who would end up leading the Tampa Bay franchise in touchdowns, Mike Shula decides to get cute and hands the ball off to rookie tight end who was that blocking fullback for the A Train, Patrick Hape, who fumbled on the 1 yard line. Remember that?
Yep.
So
Alabama,
yeah, and
Patrick Hape.
and,
Yep.
Yeah, in my opinion, leave it to the professionals. If you've taken carries, and that's why I said even Jordan Whitehead, at least he's got some ACC action in his history running the ball. But I think really, if we saw 2 running backs go down on Sunday with LaShawn McCoy and Kenjon Barner. If they're in that situation again, something happens to Rojo and Keyshawn Vaughn, you just go 5 wide and just 4 verts, right? I mean, at that point in time, you become as one-dimensional.
And your screens essentially become a running play. You just run a ton of bubble and get the ball to Scotty quickly, and that turns into your run game, even though it's technically a pass.
Well, that gets us to the game plan too. I mean, right? This is like Tom Brady was brought in for, it doesn't matter who's the skill position players really. Like, I mean, obviously it helps to have those guys out there, but this team has found success by throwing the football first and foremost. We saw just a little while ago, there's graphs put out by Hayden Winks of Roto World. He was saying that the Bucs are been shooting up in terms of neutral situation passing, first and second downs. So staying aggressive. Amen. Which is what we've talked about, right? We've been harping for that. And the play action passing was up this past week, 9 attempts as opposed to 6 each of the first 3 games. Brady was 9 for 9 in those situations for 130 some yards, 2 touchdowns, ridiculous numbers. They've been shredding teams with that and getting tons of chunk plays off of it. So to me, it's like, man, I think all these other things are great and the O-line's great. And I'm sure I want to be able to run the football, but this is Tom Brady's team now, and they got to play like that. That's their identity of this offense, in my opinion. They have to play like that every single week, no matter who's at the skill position players. I put the ball in Tom's hands, let him make plays, and stay aggressive on offense. Don't create this game plan. Oh, we're without this guy or this guy. No OJ, no Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans, or Mike Evans is banged up or whatever. So we're gonna be a shell of ourselves. No, like stay aggressive. Gas all the way down. I think that pedal all the way down, and I think that this is still a game they can put up points in. Bears defense is good, but I just think Tom Brady is just better, especially in this type of a situation.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing, John. That is your best game plan, to go 4 or 5 wide and throw the ball all over the field, because I don't know that they're going to run the ball very effectively against this team, against this Bears team. Look, Bruce talked about it, and he mentioned it to Stacey Dales, I think, or one of the reporters, the national reporters today on the conference call. It said, I think we're really running the ball at a really good clip. Well, yes, last Sunday you were, but the previous 3 weeks, it was not very impressive. You had not broken the 100-yard mark, I don't think. Certainly not by an individual. Yeah, that's right. Leonard had a good game
late in the game.
Yeah, but he put that one away. But they weren't. That was not a running threat in the first 3 quarters in that game, really. Right. So, they're not. They didn't just all of a sudden turn a corner, I don't think. And Scott, we've seen this. Everybody's asked me. Not everybody, but a few people have said, "Is this the best offensive line performance you've seen from the Buccaneers in quite a while?" And I'd say, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Last week was as good and as clean of a game, as an effective game from the offensive line as we've seen in a long time. But Scott, we've seen those games before where Jameis Winston didn't get sacked and barely got hit. And they followed up the following week with a disappointing thing. So I want to see more than 1 week of Ronald Jones with 100 yards. I want to see more than 1 week of Tom Brady not being sacked. This is probably not the week that's going to happen. But if they can limit it to 1 or 2 sacks, and as between Vaughn and Rojo, if they can get near that 100-yard mark, I think that would be effective enough for them to win.
Yeah, and you talk about running the ball, and really you're running it into the teeth of the Bears defense, pun intended. I mean, you're looking at Akeem Hicks, who is a load up front. And then Khalil Mack certainly can get after the quarterback, but
don't forget Eddie Goldman from Florida State.
Okay, all right.
He opted out, didn't he? He opted out. So
yeah,
they've got Balil Nichols in there though. He's a heck of he's a heck of a run stuffer too. So it is tough. It is tough to run on the Bears. They defensively they've played well in general. I think this season, Jalen Johnson, the rookie corners, played great. Kyle Fuller, they've got great safety play. Eddie Jackson is a ball hawk. You have to be mindful of him. A little bit tougher to hold Eddie Jackson in the middle of the field like Tom Brady was doing to the Chargers' Nasir Adderley this past week. And so that's going to be something they're going to have to be mindful of. Certainly opportunistic group, and they play a lot of zone, and it'll help you when you're jumping routes and things like that. So something to be aware of. But, I mean, at the same time, like there hasn't really been like a team that's matched up well with, even when the Bucs, I mean, have they been at full strength really week 1 maybe, and Evans wasn't 100%. And so we haven't even seen them at half strength or whatever they've been, a team really match up well with the weapons that they have. I mean, even if you double Mike Evans, there's the tight ends going off, and obviously no OJ Howard now, but I just think it's a situation. Scotty Miller's becoming such a threat, and it's not just the deep ball, though. That's a big part of it. Right. He's been able to do stuff effectively in the short game too. So I think all those pieces matter, and all those pieces are why it's really hard to match up with the Bucs weapons and why staying aggressive is important. But the running backs catching the football has to be more of a short thing. These are like short runs, right? That get you in manageable second and third down situations. When you do throw on first down, you have to check down. And the running backs have 7 of the team's 13 drops, and that's not even counting the Barner play. I don't know if they felt bad about the concussion, so they didn't give him a drop on that one, but that's not even counting that play. This team has to get more and better hands out of the running backs.
It's wasted downs when you throw to running backs and they don't catch the ball, right? And if these running backs want to run the ball, well, guess what? If you do that on first down and you drop the ball, whether it's a like a Texas route, or whether it's a wheel route, or just a flare to the sidelines, when you do that, you're in 2nd and 10, and now all of a sudden you're probably not going to run the ball. I mean, unless you're Byron Leftwich, you probably call a run anyways in 2nd and 10. But I'm just saying, it's if you want to run the ball, you better catch the ball well too, and stay ahead of the sticks, because it's 2nd and 10 can quickly become 3rd and 10. Now it is without a doubt a passing down, and I'd like to see it. And John, you've alluded to this in your Bucs briefing columns. Catching the ball is one thing, but we haven't seen any of these running backs do anything with the ball after they've caught it, except literally pick up a couple of yards. It's been very pedestrian, whether it's the third down back, LaShawn McCoy, whether it's Leonard Fournette, who has a history of not doing much in the screen game, or even just the outlet receiving game, going back to Jacksonville. We've seen instances where Ronald Jones does well with screen passes, but without blockers in front of him, we just haven't seen him be nearly as effective, making guys miss and picking up a first down once he has the ball in his hands from Tom Brady.
And we saw Keyshawn Vaughn do a little bit of that, or Sneak Vaughn, as I know you like to call him, Scott. And Mark, I think you're advocating for that
Sneak Vaughn
nickname, Isn't that
right? He called that though.
He said
I want people to call me that.
No, he did not. He said he told his players, his teammates, to call him that. He did not say, Matt, Mark, Scott, and John, please call me Sneak. That is no, absolutely
call
not.
that? I mean, his Instagram name is Sneak Vaughn. He clearly wants the public to know that he's.
He also has that on Twitter too.
Yeah, no,
I think it's Sneak Vaughn, Mark.
No, it's not Sneak. There is no.
Seems politically correct to use the word.
They already have a running back named Shady. What's the difference?
And have you ever heard me say Shady McCoy? No, I would not go up.
But everyone else has.
No, would you go up? Would you go up to LaShawn McCoy? Would you go up to LaShawn McCoy and say, "Hey, Shady"?
He would probably
not your
answer.
friend. He's not your. He's not. We
right,
don't
so
get to go
hold
nicknames.
on, Mark, let's rewind for a second. Let's rewind. This was a former defensive tackle out of LSU, #1 draft pick by the Buccaneers in the Tony Dungy era, lined up at nose tackle right next to Warren Sapp. Last name McFarland. First name
Anthony.
First name
Anthony.
No, Booger. Booger McFarland.
Anthony. Look, I did radio shows.
You've never called
Anthony
him Anthony.
McFarland.
You've called him Booger
time.
McFarland.
You've
called him Booger McFarland.
I was on the radio with him. I filled in for Rich Herrera multiple times doing a show with Anthony.
And you called him
Booger.
Anthony.
Anthony Booger McFarland. Yes, absolutely.
Every time you're like, hey, Anthony Booger.
Differences.
I want to ask you a question.
Differences.
No, you didn't. You said Booger.
Differences.
Differences.
Booger yes,
right
you're
now.
right. You can, and actually, that's what's in my phone too. Is Booger. Yeah, Gatsby too. Don't even get me started on that.
It's no different from Seminoles and Knowles.
Do you?
That's a good point.
Did you say J-Boo? Did you call Jameis J-Boo?
But that's not like a regular nickname for Jameis.
No, it literally is his Twitter and all of his social media handling. Going back to what you said about
people
Sneak.
Call him Jameis and they do J-Boo. Like people call Shady on a regular basis.
Listeners, sound off in the comments. What do you think?
You don't.
Do we call him Sneak?
They call the Buccaneers the Bucs.
No, we are going to be professional and we're not going to use nicknames.
Would you bet on us not using that nickname again?
No, you will now. I know you will. I know Scott Reynolds. The only reason he mentioned Sneak today was to get on my nerves. I know Scott.
Would that be one of your bets, Scott?
He's always the contrarian. He's going to always be that.
Actually,
way.
I did. I admitted that in our private group chat.
Yes,
that,
I knew
during the conference call, I called him Sneak. I said Sneak just to get under your skin. But yes, Mark, that's a bet I'm going to take. And I'm not going to brag about all of my winnings. I did that in the last podcast. But I'm up $200 after a good 8 days. And listen, the great thing is you can be too, Buck fans and Pewter Report readers and listeners. Unless you've been living under a rock, the NFL is back and the NBA playoffs are here. So is the baseball postseason. That can only mean one thing. It's winning season at MyBookie. I don't know about you guys, but for me, a game is 10 times more exciting when I'm putting money on it. Sometimes I got a gut feeling about a matchup. Sometimes I'm just betting on my team because they're my team. Regardless, and I've done that the last couple weeks with K-State. It's worked out pretty well. But regardless, whether you've been betting for years or whether you're ready to play for the first time, MyBookie is your best bet this season. Whether it's the biggest online selection of bets and props that get you excited, listen, for me, it's the easy payouts. You win and you withdraw your cash. It's simple. Right now, they got a $100,000 super contest for only a $10 entry, and they're giving away $5,000 in cash prizes every 4 weeks. You'd be crazy not to invest your sports knowledge with this kind of potential return on your investment. $10 to win thousands. Sign me up, and you can sign up too at MyBookie. Use the promo code Pewter to claim your 100% deposit match all the way up to $1,000. You enter the promo code Pewter. That means if you put $100 in, they're going to give you $100 to play with. So it's an easy way to jumpstart your bankroll. NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, they've got it all on tap. It's never too late to get started on your winning season exclusively at MyBookie.
And I think MyBookie is the way to go. Do not, if you're desperate and you want to go with MyCookie, you can. But I just want to let you know, I will front you the money. But if you don't pay, I will send Matt Matera and some of his Massapequa, New York guys to collect. That doesn't happen with MyBookie. You have to put the money in. They match it. So when it's gone, it's gone. They're not fronting you any money except that initial deposit.
Promo code Pewter. Use that, and they're going to double your initial deposit.
Very good. All right. What is on tap next? Last week wasn't the greatest performance by the secondary. I mean, we knew Justin Herbert was good, right? I mean, we all saw the film from Oregon, and we thought, he's a talented guy. He's fairly athletic. He's got a strong arm. But I wrote in our preview, and probably even talked about it on last week's podcast, Todd Bowles was going to blitz this guy crazy. He was going to harass him. He was going to confuse him. He didn't confuse Justin Herbert a whole lot, and they did blitz him quite a bit, or they didn't really, probably enough initially, but they did do more in the second half. But guys, he played well. But was it more Justin Herbert playing well, or was it the Buccaneers secondary having some major slip-ups, or was it just bad timing on the blitz?
There was some major slip-ups in the secondary. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I think you watch the touchdown pass to Jalen Guyton, the one to Jalen Guyton in the second half, which, by the way, this is a weird second half. They had that 72-yard touchdown pass. Then other than that, they averaged like 2 yards per play, the Chargers did in the second half. So the Bucs defense actually did some really good things in the second half. I think that blitz actually would have gotten home. Devin White tripped over somebody and fell before he got to hurt, right? He would have been close. But Sean Murphy-Bunting just got beat. And I don't think – one thing I don't know, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know. Watching the play again, it looks like cover zero, but there's still – Antoine Winfield is kind of still hanging out. I'm not sure if he should have stayed deep on that. I'm not sure what he's looking at in that play. I know Pro Football Focus did not dock him for that. So I need to ask around and try and figure out. I was hoping to be able to ask somebody this week in one of our calls about that play and what exactly went wrong and if Sean Murphy-Bunting was expecting help. But either way, Murphy-Bunting definitely got flat out beat, even if he's expecting help, and then missed the tackle that would have prevented the touchdown. So that didn't help either.
Was that the touchdown when the the Chargers went to max protect? Or I know on one of them they kept both tight ends and were kind of max protect, which you think as a safety in that situation, there's not a lot of receiving options out there. You know they're going to be bringing heat. it might have just been a mental lapse as much as anything. I mean, Sean Murphy-Bunting can cover that guy, right? I mean, this is a kid that I think played at Stetson or DeLand, some small Florida school. One of those receivers that scored is from, some local college around here that I didn't even realize had a football program. So, no, I think it was the chart. We got to give the Chargers offensive game plan a little bit of credit because they really challenged Todd Bowles in that first half with some of their play calls, and they won the test match a time or two.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Sean Murphy-Bunting that is important to point out, and I'm not trying to give him a pass, right? He was out there, he was dressed. When you're dressed, you got to play. But this is a guy that did miss significant time in that Denver game. I think he went out at the end of the first quarter or so, but missed the second half. So he was dealing with the hamstring and groin injury, and he did practice a little bit. It was enough to get him to game day, and he went ahead and played. But I don't think that we saw a 100% Sean Murphy-Bunting in terms of his health. And maybe that just was enough to make him a tick slow on that deep route. And then the other touchdown he gave up to Parham was, I think he had pretty good coverage. He just
didn't get his head around.
He just got big boyed a little bit at the end. He actually had his hand up there and trying to rip the ball out. But it's just good play by Herbert and the receiver on both of those, really. I really can't fault Sean Murphy-Bunting for that. I think if he didn't have that injury in Denver and that still happened, I might be a little bit harder, but I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass just because. Well, I mean, hey, when you got a guy taking you 70 yards, right? I mean, and you're not at 100%, those kind of things can happen.
Yeah, and I think
I don't think those explosive. Thank you. I don't think those explosive plays are going to happen again. I mean, like you kind of mentioned, John, that last bomb for a touchdown, that was the only points that the Bucs allowed in the second half. Yeah. So you look forward to Thursday's matchup. I mean, Justin Herbert played really well, and I know there's this aura around Nick Foles, but that was from Nick Foles that won the Super Bowl a couple seasons ago. Now that the pressure is on him and he's the guy, he always played well when there's no pressure on him. You look at the Bears offense, they scored 11 points last weekend, and they do have Allen Robinson, who's a very talented receiver. But are you telling me that Jimmy Graham is going to beat the Bucs in coverage? I think the Bucs, when they got more aggressive in the second half and they were able to get to the quarterback, as long as this team plays aggressive, they're not going to make all those big play mistakes all the time. It was a slip up, and it almost it's never a good thing, but it was a wake up call for the fact that they won, and now they're going into a short week. They cleaned some of that stuff up. The Bears are a team, just from watching them, that the Bucs have had a good start so far, where if they get off to another good start, go up 7-0, go up by 2 scores, let the defense just do their thing and cook, and they're going to be successful in this game just by staying aggressive again. Well,
the one thing that I'll say is I think for the Buccaneers, what helps out is that it's Nick Foles playing and not Mitch Trubisky, because Mitchell Trubisky just has the Buccaneers number. I mean, you go back to 2 years ago, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. 354 yards, and
that was all in the first quarter too. I mean,
I remember rewatching that game and thinking that might have been the worst defense I've ever seen in my life.
I think it's a blessing that Nick Foles is playing, and Foles has had some success against the Bucs too. But thank God,
the Buccaneers beat him last week. He started in that game with Jacksonville last year before they brought in the mustachioed one. He was no threat to the Buccaneers defense last year, and that was really one of those turnaround games, right? It was one of those games where the Buccaneers defense finally kind of started playing to the potential that we saw as the year went on.
Devin
and then
White picked him off this year in the first half, and then got the touchdown when scoop and score when Shaq Barrett strip sacked him. So
he should have picked 6, but he slipped down. I think he could have had 2 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah,
because he slipped after he made the interception, or he might have scored. But anyway,
I'm just saying, thank God Mitchell Trubisky's not playing. That's all.
That's the first time that's ever been said by an opposing team.
Yeah, I would not fear Mitchell Trubisky, Scott. That was Mike Smith and
it was awful.
Cutter.
It was absolutely awful.
Bad,
I'm not going to name the name. I'm not going to name the name, but I talked with a prominent defensive coach on another team, and I asked him to watch the All-22 after that debacle, that Mike Smith debacle.
Monty Kiffin?
And I'm not going to name names, but it was not Monty Kiffin. It was somebody who's
Bill
actually
Cowher?
current.
So,
Not going to name names,
Bill
Mark.
Parcells.
Matt, I'm not going to name names. I'm going to tell
Raheem
you,
Morris?
though, I'm not going to name names.
Chuck Noll. It's Chuck Noll for sure.
Damn it, Mark. You got me.
Yes. I knew it.
Yes. I seanced Chuck Noll.
Rest in
And,
peace, Chuck. Rest in peace.
the spirit of Chuck Noll told me that what a god-awful game plan that was by Mike Smith. And
With a
really,
few-
what happened
few
was
words.
the Bears went so much max protect in that game.
Eric knows.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Eric.
They went so much max protect in that game. And if you go back and look, Quan Alexander and Levante David did not come, right? It's like when you're pretty much in man coverage, or even like in underneath zone, and the running back and the tight end stay in the block, your linebackers have to come, right? Because otherwise you're rushing 4 against 6 or 7. And well, in this case, it was 7. And you're not going to get home. And what happened was Quan and Levante were basically just planted about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, watching Mitch Trubisky throw the ball over their heads. He was hitting medium routes,
And MJ Stewart and Vernon Hargraves were out there, I believe, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
Oh, Lord.
yeah. MJ Stewart had an awful day. That was the day where he really got exposed. But the thing with Mike Smith is that was like 11 on 9. I mean, it was it's like Quan and Levante were bystanders that game because of the awful game plan by Mike Smith.
And then
So
you
one
flipping
of the-
around. Khalil Mack had a monster game in that game as well. He was
Akeem Hicks did too as well. So
it was
So
not
one of
good
the
at all.
things that I think is interesting about Nick Foles playing is just that Nick Foles is just a more aggressive quarterback. You know, that can be one of the better things or one of the worst things about his game. I mean, he will put the ball down the field. I mean, that's how they won week 3 when they came back and won. He was just taking shots down the field.
They also played the Atlanta Falcons, John. You gotta You can't leave that out of the equation too.
Right, but they'd have gotten trounced by those Falcons if Trubisky'd stayed in the game just because he just doesn't have the – so Foles will recognize matchups, put it up, let guys have a chance to make plays. I think it's an opportunity we need to see Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy-Bunting playing the catch point better. That is the biggest thing. I think those guys have been in great position and coverage the vast majority of the year. I'll take what they've done in terms of being in position all day against any corner group in the league. But at the catch point, they have not been as if we've seen it with Sean Murphy-Bunting and the back shoulder throw we saw with the touchdown the other day. Again, it's a good throw. It's good coverage, but find the football, get the football. Even if you don't turn your head, play through the hands, get the football out. Carlton Davis has been his big thing. The other day, Keenan Allen, I know it's a great throw. It's a great catch by Keenan Allen, but Carlton doesn't really get up. You got to challenge the catch point, and you're going to have to do that. I mean, Carlton's probably going to be on Allen Robinson the majority of this game, if not for the entire game, and they'll move him around some, but that hasn't – Carlton's been trailing guys this season, and that hasn't phased him. So, I think that's going to be the matchup to watch, obviously. The Bears do have other good receivers that need to be noted. Anthony Miller.
I was going to say
Darnell Mooney, too.
Anthony Miller's a guy with his speed that if Sean Murphy-Bunting doesn't get healthy and doesn't play better, that could be a matchup that the Bears try to exploit.
Yeah, and Darnell Mooney.
Anthony Miller's got some jets.
Yeah, and Darnell Mooney's quick too, and he can make plays down the field. Jimmy Graham in the red zone. Theirs is an offense with weapons for sure, and their offensive line's not terrible. I know they didn't play well last week, but that's a good group that's played together for a while. So it is really a matter of making Nick Foles uncomfortable, I think, not only just in the pocket, but also with the way you discuss coverages and your ability to contest those 50-50 balls that he absolutely will put up there, I believe. And so if they can do that, I think they can have success. But the offense is kind of like has a lot of pieces, just no quarterback. And so I think that this is a good team without a quarterback and therefore without really a direction and an identity really to themselves. And so I think that's a big part of the problem for them right now. I'm
not a fan of David Montgomery either. He doesn't really scare me. I think he's kind of a pedestrian back.
Yeah, he's pretty pedestrian. I agree. And I think he was pedestrian coming out and was overrated. I don't think they have the juice at running back to really be a big threat.
Without Tarek Cohen was a huge loss for them because he was that guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, do some gadget things, and really bring some speed out of the backfield. And I think David Montgomery, I saw him plenty at Iowa State back in watching Big 12 football, and I just didn't buy the hype. He just doesn't have that second gear and the explosiveness.
Well, we do have one question here. Anthony wants to know how we think Wirfs has played so far and how we think he'll hold up against Khalil Mack. Mark, what are your thoughts so far? I know you've seen some Wirfs and
Come
Matt,
on.
you've seen some Wirfs as well.
We're gonna skip Mark. We're gonna go to Matt Matera, who said Tristan Wirfs was his unsung hero on today's PR roundtable. So Matt, take it away.
He was my unsung hero. He's getting a little more attention now. So I think in like by a week or two, he won't really be as unsung anymore. But I mean, you look at this guy, he's a rookie that comes into the league with no offseason. Everyone has to deal with that. But when you're playing a position at right tackle and you go up against the premier pass rushers that he has gone against so far, going up against
Jordan in week one. Cam
Jordan week one, thrown right into it and did a very good job. Joey Bosa was essentially invisible last week. I mean, they're relying on Tristan Wirfs, and they don't even Brian Leftwich said it best, where he's like, I don't have to say his name, so that's how you know he's doing a good job. You don't even think that this guy is a rookie. He just goes in there and he does his job, and he's kicking ass. He's doing very well.
Yes.
The Bucs are running the ball to his side. I mean, they had more success with Ronald Jones' 111-yard game. They had more success running to the right-hand side, even though on the left-hand side, they have Ali Marpet, who was also an unsung hero by someone else on this list. You can't say enough how good Tristan Wirfs has been. I mean, he's everything that the Bucs have wanted him to be when they drafted him. He's passed with flying colors, but I mean, there's no question this is the biggest matchup that he's going to have so far in his career, without question.
Yeah,
well,
and not only because Khalil Mack's so good, but because it's the run game too. Like Khalil Mack is so dominant in all phases, and Bosa is too. But I do think Bosa has this weakness in his game that I'm amazed Wirfs took advantage of. Bosa just loses his balance. Like I love Bosa. I think he's great. But I wrote coming out, his one weekness is that he loses balance. He just gets over his toes and he loses balance.
In your Bucs briefing column, which you got to read, on peoplereport.com. The PR roundtable today just came out, and the Bucs briefing. You show multiple videos of Joey Bosa just getting ragdolled by Tristan Wirfs, just taking him right to the ground, snatch and trap, and just
it's crazy,
really mauling Joey Bosa.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it was crazy to watch the physicality. Wirfs went into that matchup and knew exactly you could tell he'd studied him. He knew what Bosa was going to try to do. And it'll be the same thing with Mack. But what's crazy about Mack is that I think he's just so like he's never on the ground. And Bosa, like you could say, Wirfs put him there more often, but he's still a player that, he'll get a couple sacks and he'll also be in the ground a handful of plays. Mack's never on the ground. And technically he is just so dominant and so physical with his rush game, but also Mack will take inside pass to the quarterback so quickly. And that's where I think if there's one area Wirfs has been weak in, that's where I worry about it a little bit. So maybe crossing his face is something you have to be mindful, but I honestly feel good about Wirfs. Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel great about it. I think somebody said, we got a comment here that says, it'd argue besides Marpet and Jensa, he's our best O-lineman. And I'd agree. And I think Kappa's played really well. And I think Donovan Smith last 2 weeks has been great. But it's just, man, I mean, Wirfs is that good. I mean, he doesn't look like a good player right now. He looks like he could be a special player right now. That's the caliber of play he's shown so far.
John, in the last Pewter Report podcast, you were banging the drum that this guy should be in consideration for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I'll tell you what, on Thursday night against Khalil Mack, if he has the type of performance that he did against Cam Jordan week 1 and Joey Bosa last week, that's a drum that you got to bang even louder.
Oh yeah, you're jumping the gun on my Friday content. That's my plan right
there. Scott, you know how you don't want to mention the kicker's name? I'm afraid that we're mentioning Tristan Wirfs' name way too much as he gets ready.
Kicker?
Yeah. His name's Sign Ruck Up.
They didn't go for 2 every time last game.
It was your fault he missed the 44-yarder mark because you kept bringing him up on the last podcast.
That's right. Yeah,
no, it's not my
South
fault.
End Zone 2. Way to go, Mark.
Bradley Pinion's fault. He's not a very good holder. I hope
you're an unsung hero.
And actually, good for you, Mark. That was a hell of an unsung hero because not only has he been just killing on kickoffs, and he's a steady holder, and I guess you're going to blame him for the miss. But outside of that one, he's been steady. But really, I mean, he played a huge role in the Bucs' comeback by pinning the Chargers in so deep right before halftime. Of course, Anthony Lynn with the assist, right? Just deciding not to take a knee and just hand off the ball. Let's have our rookie running back receive a handoff from a rookie quarterback. What can go wrong in Ndamukong Suh? But if it wasn't for Pinion dropping that punt in there, that play doesn't happen, and the Bucs' comeback might not happen. So
Yeah.
Kudos to you. That was a hell of an unsung hero pick, Mark.
Yep. Hey, we want to make sure that if you are watching this, you go ahead right now and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on any of the other platforms, go to YouTube, look up Pewter Report, YouTube, Pewter Report TV. Any Google search of that will find us. Click on it and make sure to subscribe. We're trying to build our subscriber base. On that station, you'll be able to go back and watch these podcasts. You can go back and watch some of the draft casts. There's even a few with Trevor with his man bun on there. We've got some What's Cooking videos from the past. If you guys like Cam Braid, he was a guest 2 years in a row and was terrific on that show.
Yes.
But check out our Pewter Report YouTube channel. Again,
Pewter Report
just
TV.
Google Pewter Report TV. Check it out and make sure that you subscribe. Something else I want you guys to check out. I want you to check out the weather forecast, because now this little tropical disturbance I mentioned on Sunday is now a Category 3, possibly a Category 4 hurricane going right through the Yucatan, heading up north. Looks like it's going to avoid the state of Florida, which is wonderful. But we can't ever guarantee what the tropics are going to do or what the Atlantic hurricane season is going to look like. But I know there's one place where you can protect all of your assets, everything you've got, and that's Briar Greaves. They're family owned and operated for 3 generations, 30 years serving the greater Tampa Bay area. They're an award-winning agency. And what I love about them is they sell all lines of personal and commercial insurance, from home, auto, boat, life, flood, commercial insurance, whatever it is, they can take care of it for you. We mentioned last week, they even insure dresses. I'm going to call them about some of my dresses if they'll maybe insure those. But you need to give them a call. Let me give you the phone number right now so you can call either Sam or Briar. And that phone number is 813-876-4166. 876-4166, area code 813. Call Sam, call Briar. And as I mentioned, we're still in the thick of hurricane season. I'm sure you have a policy now, but why not give them a call? Go over your deck page. Let them see if they can beat your price. Maybe they can save you some money. Even if it's only a couple $100 a year, that's extra money in your pocket. And let them quote you on other lines of insurance as well. And renter's insurance. People forget about that too, guys. Just because, you're renting a place and there's insurance on the physical structure of the building by the person who owns it, doesn't mean any of the contents inside are going to be covered in case there's a fire or a theft or a flood or an alien invasion or whatever that Walking Dead show, zombies. I mean, you can get insured for all of those things. Call Sam, call Briar. Again, that phone number is 876-4166, 876-4166. All right. We're going to wrap it up.
You know what I'm doing tomorrow?
What is tomorrow? Tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow, that's the day that you manscape?
No. That is not actually what I do on Wednesdays.
I'm not sure then.
What I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to call Briar Greaves.
Oh, good. Well, that's a little different than I thought you were going to go with that direction, but you need to call Briar Greaves tomorrow, Scott. You should. And Matt, you're a renter. And John, well,
yes.
Again, call them. Just say hi. Just talk to them. All right. They're good. They're really good guys.
You
know what I like?
See what he thinks. See what he thinks is going to win the game. That's right. See what he thinks is going to win the game.
And that's exactly it. Every time I go in to talk to these guys, we end up talking football for 30 minutes. It's they're just good guys. And they're knowledgeable guys, not just about insurance, but football as well. Anyway, Bucs and Bears prediction time. Matthew Matera or Sneak Matera. We're going to let you go first.
Sneak Matera.
I like that.
He looks like a sneak.
Yeah, Thursday games are always so tough with with practice, with it being on a short week. Last week I said that the Bucs were going to ride the defense on the way to victory, and it was the offense that took over and helped the Bucs win the game. I'm really interested to see how they use Keyshawn Vaughn again in the backfield. I know we've talked about him a little bit, but I think he could be an X factor in the passing game again if one of the receivers can't go. Because let's just say like Scotty Miller's out. They're going to try to take out Mike Evans, double team him. And Justin Watson, Tom Brady's 2 pick sixes this year were on out routes to Justin Watson. He's better going over the middle with the slant. So who's going to step up and be effective in the passing game in that kind of situation? I think it could be Keyshawn Vaughn. And for the defense, I think they're just They're not going to let up the big plays that they did last time. They're going to stick to their keys. Nick Foles isn't the easiest guy to sack. He only got sacked once last week. He gets the ball out quick. But I'm expecting a rebound from the defense. And the Bucs are going to get out to a lead, and they're going to hold on to that lead. So I'm going to say 27-17, the Bucs win.
All right, we're going to go now to Rojo Reynolds. What's your pick, Rojo?
Bucs 26, Bears 17.
Is that why you were laughing at me? I was
yes, yeah. So if this is like the Price is Right, I guess I'm going like $1 under. Right?
Well, you know, me and John are going 25 and 24 then.
Yeah, I know. You're gonna box me in, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
no, I think that the Bucs have been on an amazing scoring tear this year, and certainly they've got a bunch of weapons and a great quarterback to do so. But this week they're a little shorthanded and a little banged up. So I think that you're going to see the Buccaneers score under 30 points. And I think the Bears defense is going to have something to do with that too. I think Bradley Pinion is going to be used more this week than he was last week as a punter rather than just a kickoff guy. And but I don't think that the Bears can do much offensively with Nick Foles at quarterback. And the matchup that I'm not worried about is Allen Robinson and Carlton Davis. And speaking of matchups, I'm not doing an SR's Fab 5 because we have a Thursday night game. So I've got the 2-point conversion column coming out Friday. That'll kind of replace this week's Fab 5. But I will do the 4 matchups to watch, which is usually segment 4, Fab 4, if you will, in my Fab 5. So look for that tomorrow, along with our pewter predictions and preview. So that's going to be coming out tomorrow. Don't look for that on Friday because the game will be over. So
I'll
look for
get
those
it right.
two things
I'll
tomorrow.
be able to predict the score perfectly if we wait till Friday.
I think we all will if we watch the game and pay attention. So
Taylor would probably still miss it.
Taylor might miss it. Sorry, Chris. So Bucs 26, Bears 17. More on those matchups to watch in our prediction story tomorrow, and in my 4 matchup story to watch for tomorrow.
All right, quickly, Shady Ledyard, what are you going to predict the score to be?
Last week I said that the Bucs were going to lose on the podcast on Wednesday, and then by the time Sunday rolled around, the Chargers only had they literally were missing 10 of their 22 normal starters, and 2 more were playing hurt. And so it was just, I couldn't do it. And I switched back to the Bucs because there was just no way they should have lost the game. They almost proved me right and wrong, and then they did prove me right and wrong as well. But I got the official prediction right on the site, but I got the prediction of the podcast wrong. I'm not changing it this week. No doubt about it. Bucs win this game. I don't think it's necessarily the most impressive win of the season. I think 23-13 is the score I'll go with. I think that there might be at some point how productive they've been in the red zone. They're going to regress back to the mean a little bit, and there'll be some field goals. This would be a game where I think that can happen and they can still win. I think they can not be quite as sharp in the red zone and they can still win this game because defensively, I think the Bucs are going to come out very hungry, very aggressive. They're going to feel like with all the injuries on offense, it's going to be on their shoulders. I don't think this Bears offense has really ever been that close to firing on all cylinders under Matt Nagy, and I don't think they get it figured out this week. They are 20th or lower in most major categories on offense, and I just don't see what's the identity. How are they going to establish anything to beat? What have they done consistently well? I just have not seen it so far, and so because of that, I think even if the Bucs offense doesn't have everybody and hit some bumps in the road during this game, which they might, because the Bears defense is good, I think they would really have to shoot themselves in the foot to lose this one.
Okay.
Did
Taylor,
you say Matt Nagy? Mark, did you hear him say Matt Nagy?
Matt Nagy. Yeah, he did. He's related to Adam Kaplan.
Is this related to this comment from a reader that I wasn't around here for this podcast?
I remember listening to that podcast with the last time. You guys
tell me this story. Tell me this story before we close it out.
No, because we will start laughing so hard. We won't be able to.
Matt Nagy.
If I remember Scott Reynolds and I laying in a hotel room.
When he gets high pitch, that's when you know he's losing it.
Now, granted, we weren't in the same bed, but we were sharing a bed. And
what? Whoa, rewind that. Whoa.
No, I said we weren't sharing a bed. We were in a room in Mobile, Alabama, trying to save cost. We had separate beds. We pushed them together. But no, we didn't push them together.
We were socially distanced before socially distanced.
That's a fact. And there were ants all in my bed. We had to move to a different room. But anyway,
that's a fact.
That's the true story. But we started in with the Matt Nagy's and Adam Kaplan's, and I literally fell off my bed onto the floor because I was laughing so hard. And I almost thought I was going to pass out. I couldn't breathe. So
that's when you broke your back. That's when you broke the vertebrae in your back. We nailed it now. We figured it out.
Could be it. Yes. Thank you. Now I can file some sort of workman's comp claim. Thanks for mentioning that, Scott.
Always happy to help.
Well, we'll call Haas Law one of our other great sponsors on pewterreport.com.
It's Scott Haas.
Scott Haas. He's related to Matt Nagy and Adam Kaplan. I can't stop it. I'm not going to be able to finish. I literally have tears in my eyes. I can't see. It's blurry.
Now we got to get his prediction.
No.
What's your prediction?
Bucs win. A close game. I'm not sure. He's throwing. Okay. And my MVP is going to be Cameron Brate. He's going to have a really big game because he's back home in Illinois near Naperville, where he's from.
Did you say Cam?
Cam, yeah, Cameron. Yeah, he's going to do real well. So anyway, Bucs are going to win that game. It's going to be really, really close, way too close. Right. I think it's going to be like a 19-17 type game, 21-20, somewhere around there. I'll finalize my prediction before tomorrow or later tonight when we get the prediction story up. Okay, well, we have made it through number 2 of these YouTube podcast, and we want people to go and subscribe. We want to remind people to do that. Also, listen, if you'd like to become the title sponsor, it is wide open right now, and we are willing to make you one heck of a deal. And whether it's be a sponsor of the podcast or just an advertising partner with pewterreport.com, give myself, Scott, John, Matt, anybody a shout. We'll let anybody sell an ad right now if you'd like to. So anyway, give us a shout. Really, we can back up the numbers. Google Analytics prove that we are setting records this year. We have we're on a tremendous pace for a ton of numbers. I don't know if we want to throw those out there, but if you give us a call, we can show you exactly where we are and where we're headed. Thank you, Tom Brady. Thank you, Bruce Arians. Thank you, Byron Leftwich. Thank you,
Gronk. Thank you, 3-1 start.
Yeah, thank you, 3-1 start. Something that we are not used to, that's for sure. Tomorrow, or actually on Thursday, I'll have my hook column, and I'm already doing unit grades and going to do like the MVP from each unit in that. So look forward to that on Thursday. Tomorrow is Wednesday, which will be behind enemy lines. Going to go a day later than normal because the Falcons played late last night, and I'm expecting Dan Quinn to be fired at any moment now. They're just awful.
That was absolutely off the cuff.
Yeah,
Falcons fans with the amen.
Yeah,
that's right.
No, he's bad, really bad. Anyway, and Cutter's fired and Raheem Morris. Where old Buccaneer coaches go to die.
Who's going to be the interim head coach? Are they going to go with Raheem and his crappy defense, or are they going to go with Cutter?
I don't know, but I can't wait for weeks 15 and 17.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Dirk Cutter returns to Tampa as the Falcons interim head coach.
Yeah,
50 burger.
Oh God! And somehow he'll end up winning both of those games. No, he won't. Anyway, for John Ledyard, for Matt Matera, for Scott Reynolds, I'm Mark Cook saying we will see you Friday, right, guys? Friday with another podcast. We're not going to stay up till 2 a.m. to do the podcast because no one will be listening then. But we'll be available on Friday, and we will do another podcast here. For the fellows, we will see you on Friday. Thanks for viewing and listening to the Pewter Report podcast.
Out.
Out.